You were a member of parliament. You were part of the beginning of the thinking of. You worked with Sam George on the bill and all of that, right from the beginning. You were one of the promoters of the original bill. What's the latest? So some sentiments changed in there?
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. In fact, right from August 2017, as you can see on the screen, that was when I held the first press conference on LGBT in Parliament. And on record, I'm yet to come across any LGBT press conference ever held in Parliament. August 2017, and that was the time Speaker Okwe was a speaker. And in fact, he was very strong in supporting advocacy that we mounted. Somewhere along the line in 2021, Honorable Sam George and a group of our colleagues also came together. We shared in that conviction that indeed the 1960 Criminal and Other Offences Act was just a string of legislation which is not encompassing and comprehensive enough to deal with all the emerging dimensions of LGBT, and therefore a new bill is necessary. I mean, there was a spirited advocacy for it. At some point, the NDC, led by their presidential candidate, President John Mahama, weaponized that moral need that we're all trying to advocate around. They weaponized it. They piloted it, Paul, in Asin North. I'm in Asin South. So when the by-election came up in Asin North, they piloted that weaponization, that propaganda of LGBT politics, and it worked.
For the by-election?
For the by-election. The
wanted to win.
The only message they brought was that, look, there's nothing about this election. MPP has only 137 and 138, and we have 137. And some of their members don't normally come to Parliament. They need an extra seat to solidify their lead, to go and pass a bill to now allow any man to marry any man, any woman to marry any woman. And that is why the Human Sexual Rights Bill that is before them, they don't want to pass it, they don't want to sign it. And then they believed it, and then they voted for them. So when they piloted it, and they worked for the Accusations, they went to scale. And then they started engaging stakeholders, imams, traditional rulers, pastors, in groups. And some of them came public. And those that came public are the videos you just played.
Also, there was more secret meetings.
There were a lot of engagements that did not even come to the screen. And he got the clergy to rally around this. Because this is something that is an abomination in the Bible, abomination, haram in Quran, and it's an abomination in our traditional system. And wherever you take it, an Afrobarometer survey conducted by CDD indicates, and still, even by now, to even be more, that 93% of our population find it repugnant. They meld, they exploited all these moral issues. And then only to promise that they will sign. And one of the biggest deceptions was that they succeeded in creating an impression to every Ghanaian that the bill was passed and presented to President Akufo-Addo. And President Akufo-Addo refused to sign it. And so President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia have refused to sign it, and the bill is at Jubilee House. So if voted as president, will come and sign it.
Yeah.
So they voted for him. This evening, I was on the show. I could see saying one of the pastors, very respected pastors, who was at that meeting, those who got up and clapped and went and laid hands on him and blew all kinds of tongues on him, came confessing that Reverend Charles Owusu, he expressed his biggest disappointment. He said he has never, ever been disappointed and deceived the way President Mahama deceived them. And because of the promise and the deception that he will be the one to sign the bill, he actually voted for President Mahama and NDC because of their deception. Only for them to turn around to now throw it out of the table and declare authoritatively that it is out of the question, it is not part of the priorities, and now he's seeking to solve all basic needs before he takes a look at LGBT. That is a shameful U-turn. That is a disappointing deception. That is a scam. But Paul, you can scam youth when you promise them 24-hour economy and then turn around to take 111 million cedis from them and then turn around to disqualify them and say, I have just a place for 5,000 for you. You can scam them and promise them one job, 3 shifts, 3 persons, to turn around, collect hundreds of millions from them, only to disappoint them. You can scam everybody around Galamsey and say that I'll save the environment, I will stop the destruction of our environment, save our waters, and come and muddy the waters, poison the waters 10 times what you condemned. You can scam Galamsey. You can scam cocoa farmers and promise them 6,500 cedi per bag, come and even reduce it to below 2,600. You can scam farmers. But when you look, clergy, imams, pastors, apostles, bishops, archbishops in the face, and then you lie to them that vote me in power, pray for me, weaponize your pulpits for me, do all kinds of things, agenda for me, and I will come and sign the bill. And he promised them and said, when I come, LGBT will never get to our schools, only for you to come. And the first thing you did was a state-sponsored LGBT couple from South Africa, 2 young men who came and kissed openly and under our national monument, our most sacred monument, the Independent Ark and the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, all these national security zones where camera surveillance, 24/7 surveillance, under the full glare of national security, they came and did all that, did photo shoots, campaigned openly that gay, lesbians, homosexuals, come out, do whatever you want. We've granted you in the second independence. Nobody will do anything to you. Indeed, nothing was done to them. They went. President Mahama sent to Kujita Blakwa and the ambassador to UN Human Rights Council. In that same year, they went, and when an important vote on LGBT was passed, they ran away and abstained. Contrary to the position, the conservative position of this country, all this while, they ran away. We were warning the population, Ghanaians, that let us be careful. Nobody would listen. Then they went and printed LGBT definitions into our books, sponsored by Ghana Education Service and NACA, and under the supervision of Ministry of Education.
You're talking now. This is what has happened.
I am talking now.
Are you serious?
I am talking now. And Paul, this is the book.
What is it called?
It is called Physical Education and Health Elective. Physical Education.
Which year did it come to curricula?
2025. Copyright 2025. This is it. 2025. This is a government teacher manual. This is not a private textbook.
Mm-hmm.
So President Mahama sits in Jubilee House and gives his command, and it trickles down the ministry, goes to NACA, goes to GES. They print these books, distribute them to schools, hold workshops to train teachers how to deliver this instruction. And then the first week 1, Paul, please read for me what's the definition of gender identity. Number 4 is just that.
Week 1 is for what class?
This is for SHS. This SHS book. Just the first week.
Is it sexual orientation?
Gender identity. All the definitions are problematic.
1 is sex, 2 is sexuality, 3 is sexual orientation, 4 is gender identity, 5 is gender expression, 6 is consent. So
gender identity.
The honorable member wants me to read 4. It says, it refers to a person's deeply felt internal experience of gender, which may or may not correspond with the sex assigned at birth. It can include being male, female, or blend both. This concept goes beyond the binary notion of gender, male and female, and recognizes the diversity of gender experiences and expressions. This is evil. And this is the curricula.
This has been taught already. This is not in the curriculum.
The same thing we fought when Napo was minister and they took it out and all that.
If this had happened under Akufo-Addo, all hell would have broken loose. Imagine, fancy a situation anywhere under the 8-year rule of President Akufo-Addo, that any textbook, teacher manual, any teacher and learning material whatsoever in our schools, having this definition, the kind of press conferences, the demonstrations that our pastors, our imams, our traditional rulers, and politicians would have mounted against President Akufo-Addo. But this has been state-sponsored by President Mahama. When I exposed them and caught them red-handed, they initially denied. Then I brought the book. Then they came out and said it was an error. If indeed it was an error, immediately NACA Director General should have been fired. GES Director General should have been fired. not less than 3 people should have been fired if indeed you are the president who promised our pastors, our imams, and our chiefs, looked at them in the face and lied to them that you should be the one who should take charge. And you make sure you safeguard the content of our schools, only for you to come and say that somebody made an error and put it in a book that is approved by NACA, printed with state money, distributed, and taught in our schools. In our true and poor system, you have put in their subconscious memory. In examination, wherever they are going, that's what they are rehearsing. Because in the examination, they are expected to reproduce the same thing. Oh, I am yet to see anybody fired for this. I am yet to see any secular going to schools. They only did deceptive settings of some very shameful press statement that we are recalling it. We have recalled it was all lies. All the teachers teaching it will tell you the books are still with them. Nobody has even given them a circular. Nobody has written to any headmaster or any regional director that takes steps to unlearn these diabolical concepts. No one has done that. And yet, you still have the confidence to come and tell Ghanaians, because when you did all these things, everybody kept quiet. And so now you think that you have succeeded in ensuring that as liberal party as you are, your true colors are now reflecting in the teaching manuals in schools. And so you can come and tell Ghanaians, after you have won their votes, that it is not a priority. It is still a priority. President Mahama said his priority is right. This is the reason why when the bill was introduced in Parliament, the same bill that was so attractive to them, the same bill that was their major priority, the same bill that was their major attraction. Now, the first time they saw it on the order paper, they all were appalled. They quickly distanced themselves from it and deleted it immediately from the order paper.
So it hasn't come onto the floor for second reading?
It took us press conferences, advocacies, pushes, prayer, everything. We combined it for 7 months before it came back on the order paper. And when it got back to the order paper, to date, if it's tomorrow or next week or next month, that the Constitutional Legal Committee will hold a meeting and invite sponsors to come and consider it, I am still waiting for such an invitation. It is not part of their priorities.
So it's been read the first time, gone to committee, but it's
no,
the committee is not
they've
dealing
thrown
with
it somewhere because the instruction is coming from Jubilee House.
But who sets the agendas for the committee? The chairman?
The agenda for Parliament is set by Jubilee House because the Speaker of Parliament is the leader. He's the head in charge of the whole Parliament. If you're a member of Parliament, for you to even rise up to speak, you must catch the eye of the Speaker for him to ask you to speak. For any bill to be introduced, whether a statesman bill, any legislation, whether government-sponsored or private members' bill, the Speaker of Parliament must approve. The majority leader, he is a leader of government business. He is the chairman of the business committee. So if he doesn't authorize it, it is not going to be discussed. And if he doesn't put it on his front burner as a priority legislation, it's just going to lie somewhere. And the boss himself has come to say it is not a priority. And that is the reason why they've thrown it somewhere. But we are urging them that this is a priority. The two promises he made: one, to sign the private members bill. Then he also said that he himself, when the Catholic Bishop Conference met him, he said that he was going to introduce a government-sponsored bill. We are still going to hold him account to that. He must be held account. When he's in Ghana, he says before last week, he was always saying different things to Ghanaians. Then he went to the United States of America and said different things. He comes back. And Paul, let me express one disappointment. When he came back, the first thing that Assemblies of God wrote, and Catholic Bishop Conference wrote, and Christian Council of Ghana wrote, was a letter of commendation, a statement of praise. I must say again, I'm a pastor, I'm a priest, but I'm highly disappointed in those letters of praise. Praising President Mahama for the fact that Lincoln University had withdrawn his honorary doctorate, and they are claiming that it was because of LGBT. Have you cited any letter from Lincoln University stating that they withdrew the honorary doctorate because of LGBT? Has anybody seen
a letter from the Ghana Embassy, a statement from the Ghana Embassy in Washington?
It is a figment of their own imagination.
Are you serious?
I dare them to prove a letter from Lincoln University citing that we have withdrawn the honorary doctorate on grounds that President Mahama has passed any LGBT bill. In any case,
Not that he has passed, but the LGBT situation in Ghana.
No, what is the situation? What situation? Have we passed any bill?
Well, but if the government doesn't have a letter like that, and the government statement from the embassy,
I
in
dare
America
them. I
says
dare.
he has a letter, that's a serious
Okujeto
matter.
Ablakwa. I dare Kwacho Fosu. I dare President Mahama. Anyone who says that he has a letter that says that Lincoln University has written that we have withdrawn your honorary doctorate because we are not comfortable with President Mahama, so and so and so he has done for LGBT, against LGBT. I seek to know that letter.
I don't think it was about Mahama. It was about the national situation.
So, what about the national situation?
The concern that there's been a lot of Ghanaian advocacy against LGBT in a way that Lincoln University doesn't like.
So, if that is what they are saying, then they must say so. But the letter
seems to be what they said.
But the statement they wrote didn't suggest so.
Okay,
the statement of praise was not about
singular position.
Yes, the statement of praise written by Assemblies of God, written by Christian Council, written by Catholic Bishop Conference was singling him out, praising him as he has done something extraordinary in clipping the wings of LGBT, and for which he should have sympathy for the withdrawal of the honorary doctorate. But I'm asking, what did President Mahama do in clipping the wings of LGBT? Because under his tenure, I have cited all these things with evidence. So what has he really done on LGBT? That was my first disappointment. And the reason I'm disappointed was because when he saw that 3 ecumenical bodies, very important bodies, have written in praise and in support of him, and then he thought that now I have sympathy. So let me just go and release what has been on my heart all this while, that LGBT is not even a priority. There are basic needs. And so 2 days after, he came Messias and boldly looked them in the face and said that LGBT is no longer a priority. It's not priority. There are basic needs. I'm asking Paul, between 2021 and 2024, didn't we have the kind of basic needs President Mahama outlined? The kind of food, shelter, education, health,
we did.
jobs,
we still
roads. But he's been saying that he has done research. He says inflation is down, exchange rate is down. If his economic narrative is not artificial and it is true, doesn't that contradict his claim that he should be concerned about basic needs, and for which, until basic needs are dealt with, he's not going to look at the LGBT? That is deception. But 93% and even more of our population are saying, no, we are not with you on this. For us, LGBT is still a major priority. It still remains abomination in our Bibles, it remains abomination in our Quran, it remains abomination in our tradition, and therefore realign your priorities. But some of the ecumenical bodies have started coming out. And like you said, Catholic Bishop Conference, even though they wrote that letter of praise, the moment the president came out to give that shocking statement and that deceptive U-turn, they came out to put out a statement that you just read, calling out the hypocrisy and the double standards of President Mahama. That's what I'm expecting the other ecumenical bodies to do. I'm expecting Assemblies of God to do so. I'm expecting Christian Council to do so. I'm expecting GPCC to also do so. You know why? Because we made religion and LGBT a major campaign tool in the 2024 election. Many people said, oh, my pastor says we don't want a Muslim to be a president, and that it is John Mahama, who is a Christian, he should be president because we can trust him that he will sign a bill, and that was a major thing. Now, fast forward, in 2026, we have President Bassirou Faye, who is a Muslim president in Senegal. He has signed a bill that imposes 10-year prison term.
For
10 years for LGBT. 3 times stricter than the bill we are playing with. He's a Muslim. He's not a Christian. He's a Muslim. So anyone who did politics, religious politics, anyone who did LGBT politics, and threw dust in the eyes of everybody, that a Christian leader, Assemblies of God president will come, he will sign, he will not take it to schools, and now Assemblies of God president is president, and this is the kind of diabolical, shameful, ungodly concept he's teaching your children. And a Muslim president in Senegal has signed a bill that imposes 10-year prison term on LGBT practices. The contrast is there. So 2028, will you have the confidence to come out and say that vote against a Muslim candidate? They will come back, they will tell you right there. The moment they will get up and tell you right there that indeed we will not fall for this deception again. But Paul, you mentioned something that is very critical. You said that this can be the biggest betrayal of the Christian community.
Yeah.
In fact, if we don't handle these matters well, my fear is that it will be one of the scandals that will plunge the image of the Christian community into a very bad place and to take away the respect, the salt, the light we ought to be. If our fathers don't rise up as early as possible to call out the hypocrisy of the president and to let him know how he disappointed them and how he misled them, if they don't do so, it'll be difficult, and a time will come you say, praise the Lord. You won't get anybody to say hallelujah. And that would be unfortunate. But I trust my fathers, and I believe in my fathers. I know their integrity and their credibility. They will rise up to the occasion and redeem their image and redeem that for all of us, young pastors and Christians who look up to them. Thank you.
That sounds like a sermon from the Reverend Ntim Fordjour, doesn't it? So Ejadu, who is a regular viewer, says, I would like to say that conversations around LGBTQ issues in Ghana must be approached with honesty, clarity, and respect for all citizens. I believe John Dramani Mahama has not been consistent or transparent enough, and this has made it difficult for many Ghanaians to clearly understand his position. As a nation, we must ensure that discussions like these carefully balance our cultural values, human rights, and wider social and economic impact. Open, honest, and respectful dialogue is the only way forward. That's from Ejadu. Let me go to the text messages. And Fatih, what are people saying?
I'm getting a statement that is purporting to be coming from one of the very respected fathers of the land, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, and this one.
Can you read it for us?
Yes, it says that he's appalled at the communication coming from the presidency and the ones that the Joy News. He is quoting from Joy News, so he's wrong if Joy News item is wrong. And so the Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwatiofosu, has stated that issues relating to LGBT plus rights are not a major priority for Ghanaians, stressing that the government remains focused on key socio-economic concerns. Really? So which Ghanaian is this minister referring to here? In any case, did we miss a poll on this matter? If you have softened your stance on this issue, just tell us. Don't belittle everyone's intelligence. And please, be serious. And I think this is a very good statement coming from a father, very respected man, who does not change. He is not NDC, he's not MPP, but he has been very consistent where he stands. And so if the president is shifting, he's one of those who are also speaking up. I know many of them have also indicated that they would like to speak, but at the moment, some of them spoke in the capacity of previous certain positions they held, and they are no longer holding it. But I'm sure their personal positions have also
like Opoku,
yes, some of them were maybe general secretary or of a communicable body, or chairman, or presiding bishop, or general superintendent, but they no longer hold such positions. But as the successors must speak up, and they themselves, if for personal integrity, when occasion demands, they could chip in personal statements to also set their personal positions right. But the clergy, the imams, the civil society organizations, traditional rulers must speak up on this matter. Let us demand what has been promised. Let us save our country and ensure we rid it of these diabolical, demonic infiltrations.
That's very interesting. Okay, I have to leave it here. We'll do the same size story on Thursday because it's past 11 o'clock. It's 7 minutes past 11. There's a great rendition of the protest against President Mahama and the NDC's massive U-turn on the LGBTQ issue. Reverend Ntim Fordjour delivering almost a sermon. Very, very heavy bullets dropping in there. I'm sure you check our social media page. We'll edit short videos for you to have a different flavor of what happened tonight. That's it for Good Evening Ghana.